Welcome back to Cult Crimes and Spirits. I'm Nina.
And I'm Andrea. And today we are continuing our dive into Columbine. And we have a special guest of ours, the homie, joining us later in the show.
Yes, very excited. But first, we are picking up where we left off. It was April 20th, 1999, just after 11 a.m. at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. So, 420, April 20th. I know what you probably think of when you hear 420. I know what Andrea thinks of.
420, blaze it. It's also Taurus. It's Taurus season.
What?
It's the start of Taurus season if you are into astrology and zodiacs and stuff like that.
Oh, I thought you meant like tourists, like people who go visit cities.
No. Taurus.
Taurus, got it.
Like
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. No, but I thought you said tourist.
It's just because it goes 420 to 520, and then Gemini's 521 to whatever. So
you're a Gemini.
Taurus, cuss baby. Anyways.
Well, there actually was some speculation that Dylan and Eric had originally planned for the events of Columbine to have taken place a day earlier on April 19th, being somewhat inspired by the Oklahoma City bombing, which took place on April 19th, 1995. Huh?
If you want to check out our episode on the Oklahoma City bombing,
yeah, I know.
A previous
we covered
not
this.
Plugging. We promise.
It's so weird that it's correlated, because I was reading like an article and it said that it was speculated because they were inspired by these events, and I'm just like, no way. We covered both of these events because the Oklahoma City bombing took place on April 19th, 1995, when Timothy McVeigh parked a loaded truck with a bomb in it, and then he was inspired by the events that happened in Waco, on April 19th, 1993.
And we did Waco before we did OKC.
Yeah, and then now we're doing Columbine, which may or may not have been inspired by it, but it's speculated that it was.
I'm pretty sure it was. The bomb, it had to have been. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, just everything.
They realized a normal person could get the supplies to make that, and they were like, we got it.
Yeah, like, he did it, we can do it. And he killed, Timothy McVeigh managed to kill 168 people.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's sad. R.I.P.
If Dylan and Eric had succeeded and the bomb actually went off, they would have been expected to kill like 450, So that's one speculation. Another speculation is that April 20th was the day that they had actually planned for all along, because if you remember last week, we mentioned that Dylan and Eric were really into German stuff and wore swastikas and did the whole Heil Hitler sign. I say hell. It's like Hail Hitler. But I say it like hell.
Hail Hitler. Hail Hitler. No, fuck that motherfucker. No hail.
Right?
Sorry, bro.
But they were into all that bullshit. So,
yeah.
And April 20th just happens to be Hitler's birthday.
Ew. Gross.
Yeah.
He's a Taurus.
The start of Taurus season.
Oh, so he's a cusper. Oh, shit. Damn. Fuck Hitler.
Oh. Yes.
I still vibe with Tauruses, though. Just not Hitler.
Just not Hitler. It's good that you don't vibe with Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
So the morning of April 20th, Dylan and Eric had just planted the bombs in the school cafeteria that were set to go off. And when they failed to detonate, they entered the high school armed with weapons and began shooting students. The first to die was 17-year-old Rachel Joy Scott, who was outside with her friend, Richard, eating her lunch on the lawn. Rachel was a proud Christian, and she didn't hide her beliefs or her faith. But she was a teenager like any other, and she struggled with growing up and being tempted by boys, parties, drinking, smoking, typical teenage stuff. She often journaled about her struggles and about her faith. She was the middle child of 5, and her father was a pastor.
I can't believe her dad was a pastor.
Yeah, she was raised in a faith-based home. Her parents, raised her and going to church. And
I mean, that's a good... I feel like we were raised that way, and we turned out to be good people.
Yeah, I think so.
Sometimes.
Depending on what day it is. Rachel loved writing and acting. She even starred in a school play called The Smoke in the Room shortly before her death. She had dreams of becoming an actress, but what she really wanted to do was spread the word of God. She even journaled about this. She wanted her life to have meaning and purpose, and she wanted to inspire others through her faith.
Oh, sweet.
So this next part is like so eerie. So on the morning of the shooting, Rachel drew in one of her journals a picture of a pair of eyes crying 13 teardrops onto a rose.
What? Why?
Well, I mean, she just drew it.
It was just channeled through her.
Yeah, and just a couple of hours later, 13 people, including Rachel, lost their lives because of Dylan and Eric.
That's weird.
So 13 teardrops, 13 people, 13 victims. It's like it was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Without her knowing.
She had no idea.
It was really, really weird and kind of eerie, but kind of cool at the same time. Like, not saying like any of this is cool that it happened, but it's like you said earlier, you said it was like something was channeling through her, like something more powerful.
Yeah, that part's cool, but the fact that it happened isn't. And according to witnesses, Rachel and Richard were both shot and hit multiple times. The shooters then walked away, but came back. Richard acted like he was dead, but Dylan and Eric said something to Rachel, who was still alive, and then she was shot again at point-blank range.
Yeah, originally it was thought that Richard said, like, Rachel was shot again after Dylan and Eric came back and asked her if she still believed in God. And when Rachel said yes, she was shot again and died. But in an article that we found by the Denver Post, Richard, who was paralyzed below the chest due to the shooting, has said he is unsure if that's actually what was said to Rachel before she was shot.
That's all weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I saw an interview with like Rachel's mom, and she said that they got this account from Richard, but then I guess later on Richard said like he wasn't really sure if that's what was said. Like, maybe he thought that's what was said, but as according to this article, Richard's memory of that day is fading, said Richard's mother, Connie McCallick.
Look at McCallick. I got 3 of them.
In the beginning, he said he could hear her crying and was trying to help her. Then they came back and shot her again. Richard pretended he was dead. They said something to her, but he was too far away to know what they said.
As Dylan and Eric made their way into the school, they eventually ended up at the school library, which was located just above the cafeteria. This is where most of the students who lost their lives that day were killed, including 17-year-old Cassie Bernal.
I actually heard of Cassie Bernal years ago when the song Cassie by Flyleaf came out. I believe it was in like 2005-ish. Do you remember that song?
Yeah, weird. I didn't know they were connected. What?
You didn't know what the song was about at all?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I didn't either. Like, we were young when Columbine happened, and like I hadn't thought about it again. And then in 2005, the song came out, and I'm going to read some of the lyrics, and it will make sense when I read the lyrics, because you probably just never really thought about it being based on a real person. You're just like, oh, it's a catchy song.
You're just listening and like dancing, vibing. Yeah.
So some of the lyrics go, the question asked in order to save her life or take it. The answer no to avoid death. The answer yes would make it. Do you believe in God? Written on the bullet. Say yes to pull the trigger. Do you believe in God written on the bullet, and Cassie pulled the trigger.
What?
Right? Like, and so I don't remember how I found out that it was based on a Columbine victim. I'm sure I was just reading something online because I was really into Flyleaf. But yeah, I read that it was based on an actual Columbine victim named Cassie Bernal, that she said yes when asked if she believed in God, and that's why she was shot for affirming her faith. And I absolutely loved this song, and I thought that was so powerful. But come to find out, that is not at all what happened.
Oh, another falsie.
So here's the real story. So interestingly enough, Cassie was 17, just like Rachel Scott. Her and Rachel were strong in their faith at the time that they were killed. Like Rachel, Cassie also struggled as a teen, experimenting with drugs and alcohol. She was also depressed. And according to information on a Columbine site, Cassie's parents found notes that Cassie and her friend had been writing to each other. And they were discussing in these notes killing their parents and teachers.
No, they weren't. Really?
Yeah.
This is real life?
Yeah. But yeah, it really happened when she was, I think she was about like 14 or 15 maybe when that happened.
What's up with all these kids at the school wanting to kill people?
I don't know. But her parents, like, obviously were probably disturbed by this. And they transferred Cassie to a private school. And Cassie was pissed. She did not want to go to private school. But eventually she found her way back to God. She started going to church and getting involved with the youth group. And she, like, ended up becoming a born-again Christian. And her parents eventually let her transfer to Columbine High School, where she ended up being a student in the library that fateful day when Dylan and Eric walked in.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah, but that's pretty crazy. But she has a lot of similarities, her and Rachel.
Yeah.
So another connection to Rachel's younger brother, Craig, who was a sophomore at Columbine, was also in the library that day. We will come back to him shortly. Yeah.
Okay.
It is crazy. We'll come back around to him. Don't forget.
We'll circle back.
But in the real story, when Dylan and Eric approached the library, the students were told to get under the tables by a teacher. Once inside, Dylan and Eric walked around shooting and killing people at random. When they reached the table that Cassie was hiding under with another student named Emily, Eric slapped the top of the table, then looked under the table, saying, "Peekaboo," and shot his gun, killing Cassie after she was struck in the head.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's how Cassie really died. But everyone was scared in the chaos. They were hiding under the tables.
Shock.
So, yeah. And not everybody could actually see what was going on, but they could hear. And the question was asked, do you believe in God? But it was asked to another student, not Cassie. This student's name was Valine Schnur, who after being shot and injured, but not killed, she didn't die that day. She was injured though, and she cried out to God for help. Eric Harris then walked over to her and asked if she believed in God. Other students also verified that the question was asked to Valine, not Cassie. The real story of Cassie's death was kept under wraps, though, for some time because the media wanted to portray Rachel and Cassie as some sort of martyrs for their faith, that they were killed because of their faith, when in reality, there seemed to be no rhyme or reason to the madness that Dylan and Eric unleashed that fateful day.
And a quote from a Columbine site said, Joshua Lapp, one of the students who was in the library, but uninjured, stated that the killer spoke to many students and asked more than one if they believed in God. What their answer was didn't seem to dictate whether they got shot or not.
Yeah. I think they just wanted to fuck with people, and they wanted to play God. Like, they wanted to
see them be like, no, yeah, wait, yes, no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That fighting for your life type thing.
I don't think they really cared if you believed in God or not. Like, they just wanted to mess with you. Like, they wanted you to be fearful of them.
Yeah.
So several books, movies, songs, all have been made discussing Rachel and Cassie's stories. But some point out what really happened, and others focus on the sensationalized series of events. But honestly, regardless of whatever Cassie and Rachel did or didn't say in their final moments, they were still victims of a horrible tragedy, and they were strong in their faith. They struggled like any other teenager on the journey of growing up, and their stories still inspire others. And according to the Denver Post, Daryl Scott, Rachel's dad, said this:
"It was never a major issue for me whether Rachel said she believed in God. Her life was ample proof of that. What she did in her diaries and preceding her death is more important than the last words she may have spoken."
Yeah, so like even him, he's like, you know, whether it happened or didn't happen that way, Rachel's story still needs to be told, you know?
It doesn't matter what her last words were.
Or Cassie's.
Yeah.
And Rachel's diaries and journals have actually been used to create a movie that focuses more on her life rather than her death, called I Am Not Ashamed, in which our friend and actor Cory Chapman played Dylan, and he's here today to speak with us more about this. Welcome, Cory.
The homie's here.
What up, what up?
Cory is known for his roles in I, Tonya, Stranger Things, and Better Call Saul, as well as many others. But
dun dun dun. Uh-oh.
So, Cory, what was that like, getting in the mindset to play a killer?
Well, so when I initially got the audition, I didn't know of who these guys were, and I wasn't really aware of the shooting. I knew there was a shooting in '99, but I didn't really place it at all. And so
we were young.
Yeah, it was '99.
Yeah.
What year were you born? 93?
I was 7, probably. 92. No, I was like 6 going on 7.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so coming across it, I like did some research, and like thank God for YouTube, honestly, because there were so many tapes. Like I think nowadays, like those tapes would be banned. Like in 2023, like if you're trying to look up like predetermined like shooter tapes, they'd be gone.
Or you're flagged.
Yeah, right,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, they got you.
Exactly, you know, especially with everything that's been incorporated with YouTube now, with like censorship and all that. But
probably can't even post it. You're right.
Exactly.
Like, no.
But back in 2015, it was still like low key, and so they left a flourish amount of tapes, like
eerie.
So many tapes. Like I won't say like many, but like there was like
footage.
5 or 6 core videos that I'd watch to like really kind of tap into their minds, you know. And they were really just like I mean they you know, they were definitely evil, you know, for what they did, you know, but they were just really the products of like a failed system where like, you know, you're just kind of the outcast in high school, and it's rough, you know. But yeah, we can dive into the story about him. But yeah, like, but basically it was just really the tapes that like kind of really set it off for me. That, and like I can tap into like how like Dylan kind of looked, you know, and the menacing and the hair length, and you know the wardrobe and everything.
Yeah,
was,
the
like,
trench coats.
Yeah, the trench coats. Yeah, everything like that I could kind of tap into. He wore like these John Lennon shades, which actually I was like really fond of at the time as well. I had
I'm still fond of those.
Oh yeah, the circle shades are always money usually.
I love them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what was the vibe like on set, considering it was such a dark subject matter?
So it was crazy. So like it was tape initially. So then I got through the tape process, and they invited me up to Nashville. And when I got there, like I literally had this a fake gun. It was like a prop gun, but it was like a SMG like rifle looking thing. Like it looked scary, you know. And I like had it like I literally I had that huge gun like in my pants. And like I had like somewhat of a trench coat. I don't remember exactly, but it resembled like a trench coat. And I remember walking in that audition, and like the director and producer, and like a few of the writers were just like, "Whoa, like, are we safe?" You know, because like
I went,
yeah, because I went like, because like there was the genius about the audition was So I sent them the tape of like what the script was, but then I also reenacted one of the home videos that like I saw, and it was them at the cafeteria, and it's Dylan just getting right up in the camera, like just real menacing, and I was like, whoa, I gotta send him that, you know, I gotta show him that. How intense this guy was, you know, and like he was jokingly laughing about it, but it was like, yo, this guy is deeply intense, you know, and it's just funny because no one really like caught it. Like in high school, it's just like we weren't even paying attention to that kind of thing, you know. It was such a new, like no one ever thought like, oh, this guy's gonna bring a gun to school. Yeah, right. This kid's a wimp. I'll punch him in the face.
Yeah, they're just like, you freak.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like reading about Columbine and watching some things that I have watched about it, there were red flags, but at the time there were no like school shootings like there is now. So it's like no one really caught on.
It's sad though, because now it's almost to a point where it's like a normal thing. Like we're like normalized.
It's like we're almost desensitized to it. Yeah.
Whereas that was like sad. What, one of the biggest ones that had happened.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely one of the biggest because they had explosives. I mean, they were heavily armed because of who Eric's family was. He was heavy military, so his dad or whoever in their family just had like just a multitude of weapons for them to like kind of practice and exercise on. Plus, Dylan and Eric were fond of like going out into nature and like shooting rifles and stuff for like target practice with like bowling pins or just certain objects. You know,
scene in the I Am Not Ashamed where you guys are actually shooting the bowling pins, and there's actually footage of the real Dylan and Eric shooting the bowling pins. It's out there. I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but
no, yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes because it's a simple reenaction. It's totally like based on true events type of scene. Like they did that exactly. But yeah, as far as like to finish your question with like how the vibe was on set, like Rachel, who played by Macy McLean, did a terrific job covering her story. She didn't talk to me for like 2 weeks. Like when we got on set, like I thought she just didn't like me, but it was just like, she was like, this guy freaking terrifies me. Like I don't want to be around him. And I was just like, whoa, like just the art of that was like, I was enthralled by like, oh my God, like I'm onto something.
That's wild. That's crazy.
You're really embodying your character there.
It's not a bad thing. That's like,
no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But how did it feel to do that scene shooting the pins?
Shooting the pins? That was actually, you know what, we did fun? We did that on the first day. That was like the last shot we did on the first day. We like did some like warehouse, like we did some stuff like in studio, and then we went out and drove. It was a nice drive. It was like horses and like stuff you'd see on a postcard.
Oh yeah.
Went out like
good scenery.
Yeah, just maybe like 10-15 miles out near like Franklin, Tennessee, and we just like shot that scene, and it was funny, and like the stunt guys were cool too on how like they the pins were like they fall, like I shoot and they fall down, like someone like pulls a string down, and that's how we were able to like capture it like that, because obviously we weren't like we weren't shooting live at the bowling
You can't
pin.
do that when you're filming.
It's movie magic.
Yeah, movie magic, exactly. Hate to like bring that up, but like, you know, kudos to those guys because that was real creative.
No, that's dope how they figure out ways to make that look so realistic.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I watched the film. I rented it the other night and watched it because I hadn't seen it, and I cried. It was powerful.
It's sad.
It's emotional.
It is sad.
It's a sad story.
And what makes it sad is because it's true, you know? And I don't cry at films. Like it takes a lot, but like, because usually I can be like, oh, it's just a movie, but it wasn't just a movie. It really happened.
Yeah, I mean, high school is traumatizing, I think, you know, it's just so many people you're around, and like not everyone can like feel the same way, and people get left out, and
very clicky.
People get their dreams crushed, and you know, you're just trying to find yourself. Maybe your home situation sucks, like, and then you go to school and it's not any better. It's just like, who can make anyone deranged or, you know, just a little off or whatever. Not saying you need to
go shoot up
a school or anything.
No.
But, you know.
I was like, wait, are you Dylan right now, or are you Cory?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It was really intense. And like, I didn't really know that much about Columbine until a few years ago, because I always heard about it because it's in pop culture, and it's mentioned here and there and things. So I'd always heard about it, but I really didn't know all the little details until like more in the past few years.
Yeah, no, I was learning as I went.
So is there anything else that you want to like mention about like being on set and filming the movie?
I would say the hardest thing about being on that film set was meeting Beth, who is Rachel's actual mom.
Oh, you got to meet
Like
her?
not the character, like actual mom. Yeah, so it was because she was like the executive producer. You know, the film's about her daughter, so she was heavily invested into the project. And like one time she had to like meet all of us. This was like weeks after we were filming, and like I'm in the chair like getting done up for the day for the prom scene, and that was tough because like she just went in a circle and met everyone, and I don't know why I even joined in on that circle. I should have like just went out the back or something.
Yeah.
But like she like introduces herself.
But you're Cory.
Yeah,
like, I want to go
but it's like that was intense because like she puts her hand out and she's like, "Hey," I go, "Hey," she's like, "I know who you are."
Yeah.
And then like goes to the next person. I'm like, "Sheesh."
I bet that
but like I'm playing the guy that like killed your daughter. You know, it's like you're not gonna be. I don't blame you for not being friendly with me. You know, like it's just weird because you know I'm not him, but like I'm playing him to like the best of my ability. You know, like
so people are like,
so
damn,
it's weird.
It is him.
Yeah,
it isn't him.
Yeah, that was the hardest encounter I probably ever faced. Honestly, from anybody like in
Meeting
industry, non-industry, like that was just crazy.
Well, I did read that she actually, Rachel's mom has actually forgiven the shooters, and she's actually friends with Dylan's mom.
Yeah, she is. She is. Dylan's mom actually did a 60 seconds interview that I caught years back. It was like not too long after the movie released. Actually, I was kind of intrigued to like hear how she's been through the years and all the because it's just like when you're making a movie on real people's lives. Like I don't know Dylan's mom. I'll probably never meet Dylan's mom. I don't really have a desire to. I'm sure she probably doesn't care to meet me or anything like that. It's just kind of weird though, you know, like I really wanted to play her son in a real authentic, honest way, you know, but it's just weird because you're playing real people who's like, you know, families are still affected, you know, like they're still here, you know, like even though
you're like Evan Peters playing Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like pissed off.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like,
for sure. As big as that got, you got to think.
But you did the same thing. Yeah, just Columbine.
Yeah, you got to think like there's people still affected by this that are grieving with it to this day. I've met a few of them, you know, like really, really affected. Like we're going one path, and then you know you see them and they're like they've done prison bids and got neck tattoos and just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like because like you know like you go through, you have to everyone processes stuff differently, and that was a really traumatic thing. But just like everything else in life, like an incident occurs and we care about it for like a month, and maybe celebrities or whoever pours money into it, and it feels like there's like, you know, real human like love, but then it goes away, and like these people will grieve for it for the rest of their lives in a way. So, you know, I just always put that in perspective too. Like, you know,
this is people's real lives.
Yeah, it's art. It's art, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Hell yeah! And it got out there, and it made her cry.
But yeah,
like
but
it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's like all respect to the families. All respect to the families. You know, whose art unfortunately gets put on like the flash on like not the flash, but on the spotlight. You know, and that's all I'm saying about it.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yeah, it was. Well, since this is Cults, Crimes, and Spirits, before we let you go, do you have any like weird or spooky paranormal stories you want to share?
Well, I did catch a ghost one time. I caught a ghost one time, like in Costa Rica, like in the La Fortuna, like forest, like in a jungle kind of environment. Maybe we can plug the photo in, you know, with the podcast. Yeah, so that people can see it. Yeah.
I want to see it
right after this.
I'm sure she wants to see it too.
Yeah, for sure. It's the only thing. It's a picture of like my ex, unfortunately, but like.
It's okay.
But like it's next to the ghost, and it's like crazy because I've never like captured like you see like the face figure and everything.
Did you believe in it before?
Oh, for sure. No,
okay,
I'm
so
like
it
this.
wasn't something that made
No,
you be like,
no,
oh, it's real.
because there's rocks behind her. You know, like we were
Yeah.
just like camera kind of flash. I had one of those bags that your phone is in. You know, and I was just we were taking pictures while like getting like mud on our faces and all that. And one picture I take of her, you know, we're looking back at it that night, and I'm like, yo, what is this? And like you can't explain it.
That's creepy.
Like, I'm not a tech
Yes.
guy. I don't edit photos like that. Like that's a legit ghost I caught on camera.
We are down to check that out and
for
plug
sure.
the photo.
For sure.
That's awesome. Well, do you have any other upcoming projects we should look out for?
Yes, I do. Thank you for asking. So Righteous Gemstones right now is on HBO Max season 3. If you haven't seen it, check it out. They've actually dropped 4 episodes now. I will be in the 7th and 8th episode. So in about 3 weeks, that'll be coming out.
Gives me time to catch up.
Yeah.
I need to start from the beginning.
Yeah. Guest appearances like Sturgill Simpson. We're playing part of the militia. Steve's on. Yeah, it's gonna be hilarious.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a good time. I definitely can't wait for it to come out. Danny McBride's a genius. Amazing working with him.
Yes, I love him.
He's funny as hell.
Yeah,
he is so funny.
A rock star. And then Hightown hopefully is on Stars Network. It's on you can watch it like on Hulu or the Stars Network currently. I'll have an episode of that dropping sometime. Should be coming out fairly soon.
Hightown?
Yeah, Hightown season 3. They have 2 seasons out now. You can check out.
Cool.
It's like a crime drama, pretty good show set in like the Boston,
Sounds right up our alley.
Area.
Yeah, we love crime shows.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners do too.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think they'd be listening to Cults, Crimes, and Spirits if they were true crime.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. Cory and Andrea, you guys have been friends for like ever.
Yeah. And it's funny because my cat is his old cat. So I got my cat from him. And as soon as he got here, Pluto ran up and was just like, hello, stretch.
He remembered him.
He always does.
Yeah.
He remembers Cory all the time. But yeah, we've been friends for quite some time.
Yeah, fantasy football.
It's coming up.
Yeah, every year.
You ready to get your ass kicked?
I got 3 first-round picks. I've set myself up.
Oh, no. I don't give a fuck. I just go with the flow. You know how I do it. I'll win a couple high scores. I'll get close to playoffs, and then someone will knock me out.
Yeah, and you got the best. You got the best name.
Fuck 12.
Yeah.
Forever.
Simple.
Fuck 12.
Yep.
But yes, thanks for taking some time out and hanging out, doing this interview.
For sure. No, thank you guys for having me.
You.
It was fun.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. We did the damn thing.
Yep.
We did the damn thing with Cory Chapman.
With Cory Chapman. Getting spooky.
Getting spooky.
Keep it spooky.
Can't wait to plug that fucking ghost picture.
Got to.
Yes.
Got to. Thanks, y'all. It was great.
You.
Cool.
Gucci. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Let's go.
All right. So thanks again to Cory for being here. So now back to Rachel's younger brother, Craig, that we mentioned earlier, who was in the library when all this shit went down.
Yeah. So, I remember you saying that. We're going to circle back. We're here.
Yes, we're here. We're doing the damn thing. So at the time of the shootings, Craig was hiding under one of the tables in the library with his friends Isaiah Scholes and Matt Kitchener. And according to witnesses, when Dylan and Eric realized that Isaiah was under the table, they made a racist comment towards Isaiah and tried pulling him out from under the table. When they couldn't get him out from under the table, they opened fire, killing Isaiah and Matt. But Craig was amazingly unharmed, but he played dead, lying in his friend's blood until Dylan and Eric left the library. Like, that would suck so fucking hard.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There wasn't a lot of, like, African-American kids in the school, and Isaiah was African-American, and so it was so sad that they made his death even worse, that they were making, like, racial slurs towards him, like, at the end.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
I don't know if they had, a lot of people speculate that they signaled Isaiah out for being African American, and that might be true. I mean, they were they did seem like they were kind of racist, but I honestly don't know if they were racist or they just hated everyone, you know?
I think they hated a lot of people for no reason.
Yeah.
But saying racist shit can make you racist too, so.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like maybe they were a little bit racist, but I think they also just hated everyone. And like I said, there was no rhyme or reason to who they killed or why they did it. You know, whether you believed in God, whether you were Christian, whether you were a jock, whether you were
a girl,
African-American,
whether you were a boy.
Exactly. It just, there was no method to the madness. It was just so random. And I mean, honestly, they meant to kill tons of students.
Yeah, with the bomb. They didn't care.
Yeah, they didn't care. So they were going to kill everybody, you know, it didn't matter. So
yeah,
I definitely feel like they were a bit racist. But I don't feel like it was necessarily because he was African American. I think he was just unfortunately in the wrong place, the wrong time. The library is where the most deaths happened. I believe 10 students were killed there out of the 13 people that were killed. So, but yeah, when Dylan and Eric finally left the library, students like Craig that were still alive, some were injured, some were uninjured. Yeah, they were able to flee. And as Craig was running from the library and running out of the high school, he actually ran past Rachel's body and didn't even know it was her.
His sister.
He didn't even know. So he survived. Like, he was under the table with his friends as they died, laying in their blood, just trying to pretend like he was dead, trying to survive. Then you make it through this horrific event to get home and find out that your sister was one of the victims.
Yeah, that's awful.
I feel for this kid. Like,
yeah,
like,
poor
damn.
Craig. Dylan and Eric later returned to the library, where they ended up taking their own lives.
I know. I wonder why they went back to the library. Like, I wonder if it's because they wanted to see, like,
probably
who was still dead,
what they did,
who was actually dead. Yeah, since that's where the most destruction seemed to take place.
Maybe they wanted to look at their masterpiece, as they would call it, or something like that, before they killed themselves.
A few days after the shootings, funerals for the victims started taking place, and Cassie and Rachel were actually both buried in white coffins. So this was so sad. Like, you can look up pictures. So people actually signed their coffins with like a black Sharpie, and it looked like, you know, them signing a yearbook, but they're signing their friend's coffin. It's so sad, but it's so sweet too, because they're leaving like sweet messages for them. I mean, in their coffins, they were just covered. I mean, it's just outpouring of love for them. And it's also just, again, as far as I know, they were the only two that had coffins like that. Everyone else was in like a different color, or they didn't have people like signing them. So I thought that was interesting that Rachel and Cassie were both buried in white coffins, because they had so many other similarities in their lives. So Rachel's funeral was televised on CNN and was actually the most watched program that they had aired up until that point.
Whoa. That speaks volumes.
Yeah. It's just how powerful this event was. Like, not just Rachel's story, but everybody's. So just the event of Columbine, everything that happened.
Yeah.
The last of the Columbine victims to be buried was Isaiah. He was laid to rest in Fairmont Cemetery in Denver, Colorado, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s son spoke at his funeral. Yeah. My dad actually got to meet Martin Luther King Jr.'s son. He came to the college where my dad worked, where I worked too, but I wasn't working there at the time. Also, I saw pictures of Isaiah, his funeral, and it looked like they had his coffin open, and it looked to me like he was wearing his cap and gown, and that he had his like diploma in the coffin, like they had it set up. Yeah, it just like broke my heart, but I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like from the pictures that he was wearing. Mourners came out in droves to pay their respects to all the Columbine victims. There was like hundreds, if not over 1,000 people at like every funeral.
Columbine High School reopened in the fall of 1999, and the school underwent some extensive remodels and repairs after the shooting. The library was completely removed and the floor was taken out so that it was left open and is now like an atrium above the cafeteria. A new library for the school was built on one side of Columbine's main building near where Rachel Scott was killed. It was called the Hope Columbine Memorial Library.
Of course, after the shooting, just like when a school shooting happens in the present day, it always sparks some intense debates on gun control, and everybody tries to blame someone or something for the shootings. But it's not always that easy. Every situation is different. Every individual is different. Their reasons are going to be different. But it seems like the same type of things get blamed. Violent movies, music, or video games. People close to the shooters often get blamed, like their family and friends who people think should have known that their loved one was capable of such things and it should have been avoided.
No one ever knows that.
Yeah, no one knows. No one knows why anybody does anything, really. I feel like it can't be attributed to just one thing. Like Dylan and Eric had some serious hate in their hearts, and yeah, they may have been bullied or they may have played violent video games, but thousands of kids are bullied and play violent video games. They don't go do what Dylan and Eric did, So I just feel like it can't be attributed to just any one thing.
You can't put it in a box.
Yeah, I'm not trying to defend what Dylan and Eric did, but it's not that easy to just blame. You want to make sense of the situation, but you can't.
Yeah, you want to have a rhyme and a reason to why they're just killing people for no reason, but they needed help.
Yeah. But as we end this dive into Columbine, we want to say each of the victims' names just to acknowledge them in this tragedy, because we might not have all the answers, but one thing is for sure, they were all taken from this world way too soon. And all these years later, they're still remembered and never forgotten.
Very true.
Also, if you're a fan of the show, we're horrible at pronouncing names. So if we mispronounce anyone's names, we apologize in advance. It is not our strong suit.
Yeah, I'm very bad. So
yeah, we still want to say their names, or at least attempt to say their names.
Yeah.
Cassie Bernal, age 17.
Stephen Corneau, age 14.
Cory Chapman, age 17.
Kelly Fleming, age 16.
Matthew Ketchner, age 16.
Daniel Mauser, age 15.
Daniel Robra, age 15.
William Dave Sanders, age 47.
Rachel Scott, age 17.
Isaiah Scholes, age 18.
John Tomlin, age 16.
Lauren Townsend, age 18.
Kyle Vasquez, age 16. Yeah, this was a tough one.
Yeah, it was. Sad.
Yeah, we do sad content, like cults, crimes, and spirits. It's not happy subjects. We try to make it fun, but I mean, it's not really like you can make it that fun. I mean,
just interesting. We try to make it interesting.
Yeah. But we just want to let you all know that we are taking a couple of weeks off. Yes, we'll be returning on the 22nd of September with new episodes. We both work full time, and we are trying to do this podcast, and
it's
trying
been
to do
a hot summer, and we work in hot places. So
yes, and our brains are like fried, and trying to do research, it takes a really long time to try to do it right, and we just want to really put together good content, and we really want to make sure we're doing a good job, and we're trying to set up some future interviews. So we're working. We're not really taking it off, but we will be back.
You'll hear our voices on September 22nd.
Yeah.
Hey, get away from my sandwich. Get.
As Andrea's cat tries to eat her sandwich.
Yeah, I need to go finish this.
That's a good place to end things.
We did the damn thing.
We did the damn thing. Stay spooky. Batman. That's what it makes me sound like.
I know.
Batman.
Fucking
okay.
Batman.